So this will probably be the last tomato update. I've been extremely bad about updates. God, probably for the last at least 3 or 4 weeks. Sorry about that for the people that have watched this and who will watch this in the future. I've been extremely busy, in and out of town a lot. And the video I posted right before this that I never got around to posting until I posted both of these at the same time was right at the last end of when everything was going good. Went out of town for a week, came back, and they just weren't getting watered right, so they were already not doing good. Then we had that early cold weather. It got down to 29 degrees, and it basically made my plants look like this. They've survived. Like, I'm still getting fruit. They're not getting super big. Cherries are still going like crazy. It's just been hundreds and hundreds of cherries. We hit 14 feet at one point, but I wasn't there to measure it, so I'm going to go by what my last accurate measurement was. But it's October 25th. It's cold again. I'm going to go ahead and pick everything because I don't think they have much longer, and I'll let them finish inside. But that Cherokee purple, boy, not even one tomato from it. It just didn't do anything. And as you can see, the size is decent. I mean, it's over 5 feet. That lines up with my eyes. And I'm 5'8". The red beefsteak, really good for production. The only thing is I didn't get the gigantic tomatoes that I've gotten in the past. Baseball size. And you can see what's left here. But over 20 tomatoes from this plant. I wouldn't have minded seeing more, but it's been a rough season. But these will all be getting, whatever's left will be getting picked, whatever's green. Either I'll let the wife do fried green tomatoes, or I'll let them red up on their own. The Better Boy, same thing. You could tell these are a little speckled because they were still green. Well, a lot of these were still green when we got that frost. But they'll be good. But again, you know, whoop, and there goes that one. That one's seen better days though. So it's probably ready to fall off. The big boy did okay. Not as good as those two in the center. I'd say it's maybe made about like 15 plus whatever's left on there. Got one that's a baseball size. The rest are still green. The pink brandywine didn't have a good year. 2 tomatoes. This one that, even though I was treating for it, got the rot, or maybe it's rotten out because it sat for too long. Handful of green ones on there, but it just didn't do much. We got fall. And it's been cool, windy and cold today. You can see this shot out while I was gone on the bottom before I could ever string it up. But this is the final one. I plan on just letting them die off. I haven't even really watered them a whole lot this week. We've had some rain and stuff's not really evaporating because of how cold it's been. If anything, I'd be worried too much water freezing up in the pots. I don't know. And those Kentucky Wonders, they gave us one nice crop and that was about it. So I'd like to see if there's a pole bean that'll keep producing instead of just giving one big crop. But otherwise, that's about it. Sorry, I really wanted to keep up with the updates. It's just life happens and, you know, I get busy and I can't rely on people to water my stuff while I'm gone, and it's too bad because I really think we could have hit that 14 mark up at that top right corner. Well, I got it pretty leveled out. The whole top bar would have been 14, but everything's leaning now. It's shrinking up from not being watered. But I think, what did we hit? 12? A confirmed 12, and I know it went past that. So I guess I'm happy with that. I'm back. I just stripped down my cherries and all my plants. I decided I'll leave some of the green ones. We'll see. We may get some Indian summer. I doubt it, but if my wife wants to make fried green tomatoes, she can go ahead and cook them. You know what I wanted to add? If you're a fan of cherries, those Super 100s, I've had a dozen bowls like that. I can't get my kids to eat them anymore. They're burnt out. So that's a winning plant in the Arkansas area, at least. Now this, I don't know if I ever showed you. I can't remember if it's in my last video that I have yet to edit and upload right before this one. But what I had done here, and I was just playing around, this was just random, so I let it grow. But I went to my pink brandy wine, and I had taken one of my little shoots that came out that was like a sucker. That was like 2 or 3 inches big. And I did that, I want to say, right around the time of my last video, and it made it that far. But because it was young and all that, it could not take that one night that was 29 degrees. But amazingly, my wife's avocado survived it. She's saying she doesn't want to bring it inside this year because it's kind of a pain. It gets in the way. But it's that year or two when these things really start taking off. We've done that a few times now, and the year twos will be 5-6 feet by the time you're done with the season. Now, had I been around, I would have liked to have actually brought that one inside and let it keep going just for fun. But you know, again, I didn't cut it on a special angle. I didn't use any special solution. I just put it in a cup of water, waited for it to make its own root system, and then transplanted it. Did great. You know, something I should point out for anybody that doesn't already know. Now these are the intermediates, okay? Or intermediates. I can't talk today. What I have noticed, and I noticed this last year too, once you get your lower crops, whether they flower, don't flower, don't get pollinated, whatever, they don't usually grow again. It's not until your new growth that flowers. So like, for example, for about the last month, I haven't had too much at the built line here. Everything's been higher, with the exception of every now and then a sucker pops out, and if I let it go, then it's like treated like new growth and it'll flower. But I just don't understand, like, for example, how does that just come out? Like, it's been weeks since anything's grown down there. And you know, a few weeks ago this one shot out, but it's like, really? It's so random. It's just so random. Because for the most part, all the suckers come off all the new growth. But you could see this one did the same thing. I mean, this one shot out. And look how big, you know, it's amazing how quick those grow. You can even see it's got a little tomato on there that's seen some cool nights. Because just because we had that one night that was 29 doesn't mean we haven't had a lot of cool nights. And then it's 59 right now, but the wind chill, I mean, it's freezing. I got my heavy duty Carhartt on, and usually at 59 I'd be comfortable. Yeah, that was another crazy sucker that came out. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there. And then, you know, another thing, and I should have mentioned it, it was devastating. When I finally came home from being out of town, not only were my plants not watered enough, but I was getting hit again by a hornworm, and that one was huge. And you know what's interesting is, as I was tying those, I was tying them to the wood. Instead of the hornworms coming all the way down and then working back up, they got like 4 of them. All my stuff that was to the left here, and they were literally like going up and down every time they hit the wood. So all my biggest branches got hit. Most of them actually since then, because of the wind and stuff, have folded or snapped. That, my largest one is still there. You're not going to be able to get the focus, but it got hornworm too. But that's why I say I wish I would have had footage of that, because it was probably, if my finger helps, to about there. And that's the 14-foot mark. So I may have hit 12 and a half, 13 feet. But I don't know, we'll never know. I was wanting to measure every week and keep them going, but like I said, things happened and I was out of state for a while. So I guess that's about it. If there's anything else, I'll be curious now with these cold nights, because I mean, we're still getting down to 30s and stuff like that, and if anything keeps going, I'll make another video. I just don't see how it could. They should be getting really stunted, just like when it gets cold in the spring. So probably my last video. Thanks for keeping up. I wish I could have done a better job, but I mean, at least it proves my point. You can grow anything you want in containers. It's just a matter of, you know, how much time and effort you have to put into it. I would really like to get larger containers next year, because I do think, I mean, it's not ideal. I'm not saying it's ideal. I'm just saying you can do it. My pet peeve is when people, instead of saying, oh, that's not ideal, but you can do it, say, oh, you can't do that. And then you ask them, you say, well, how many times have you done it? Well, I've never done it because you can't do that. You know, like I put a torque converter in my wife's Yukon 6080E. And it was starting to go out. And, you know, you catch it early before it grenades, you put a new torque converter in, you flush it out. Well, I was at a bad time. I was backed up in jobs. I just wanted to pay a shop to do it. You know, I had already bought the converter. I'm like, you guys got the lift. It's pretty straightforward. How much to bang that out? Oh, we won't do it. Why not? Well, because you can't do that. I said, really? Yeah, you can't do that. I said, oh, well, that's funny. I've done it 12 times in my life. Every single time I've had success. How many times have you done it? Well, of course, I asked how many times have you tried, and they all say none, because everybody knows you can't. But I mean, it just, you know, it goes to show. Now we're 10,000 miles, 2 years. It's still going. It's still going. So that's a little tip for anybody that starts feeling their torque converter shuttle. Or shutter. You get that shutter. But yeah, that's just my point. Just because somebody in San Francisco tells you what you can and can't do, get a second, third, fourth opinion. Or ask them to actually do it so you see what happens. Because, I mean, I'll admit, I think what happened with that end plant there, that pink brandywine, it's literally nested itself with the root system to the point where it looks like that Florida moss that you get in the trees. Like, there's probably not even soil to even hold nutrients. And I do think that that was a problem for that one. I mean, all of them have pretty big root balls, but I mean, that one just, that whole thing's a root ball. That might be my next video. I'll probably do it in the spring. I usually snip them off, like once they're dead, and I can part with them because they're my babies. I'll rip them all down and throw them in the compost pile, but usually that next season I'll rip the root ball out. And maybe I'll do it earlier, I don't know. But I could see where people might want to see what the root ball looks like, because these are pretty big plants, you know. I mean, the second one hit 10 feet. The fourth one hit 10 feet. We already know that my cherries hit 10 feet. And everything else was over 8 feet. Probably closer to 9.